What's up, guys? Welcome back to Aota Minute to Pick It. It is Saturday, January 2nd. Great day to start the new year. Yesterday, we were 7-2 in picks. First official picks of the year, too. So, great start, up 4.9 units. Hawks +6 versus Nets. Hawks won straight up. Easy game. Lakers, 7.5 against the Spurs. They won that one by 6. Almost covered, couldn't quite. Suns +4 against Nuggets. Also won straight up. Blazers moneyline against Warriors. Easy dub. And then college football, Cincinnati +10 against Georgia. Cincy, heartbreaking loss, almost pulled it out, but easy cover for them. Auburn moneyline against Northwestern. Fuck Auburn, they let me down every time I bet them. Don't know why I still took him. I can't trust Bo Nix. Oh well. Notre Dame +21 against Alabama. They got schmacked, but Notre Dame good enough for the backdoor cover there. Ohio State +7.5 versus Clemson. Justin Fields, one of the best college games I've ever seen out of a quarterback, out of anyone, really. He played amazing. Killed Clemson, easy 7.5 cover. Wish I was on the money line for that one. Other than the Ohio State and Clemson over 68.5, easy over, put up a ton of points. Now, let's go on to today's picks. We got the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl in college football. Number 25 Oregon going against number 10 Iowa State. -5.5. Over under is 58. Oregon, 4-2 this season. They won the Pac-12, but they should not have been in the championship. Only reason they got in was because Washington didn't make it due to COVID. Couldn't play in the game. Oregon, pretty good team. They're missing Justin Herbert, obviously, from last year. Their quarterback's been decent this year. Both of their losses on the season were close games to Oregon State and Cal, and those ones, no forced turnovers by Oregon. That defense has to force turnovers in this game. Which quarterback, Brock Purdy for Iowa State, has been very good. It's going to be difficult to get him to turn the ball over, though he did throw 3 interceptions against Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State lost 27-21 in that game, and we just saw what Oklahoma did against Florida. So, Iowa State, pretty solid team. They've been a pretty solid team this year. It's only their 16th bowl appearance in school history, too, so they're going to be fired up for this game. They have a very versatile offense as well. I mentioned quarterback Brock Purdy. Solid quarterback, and they also have a solid run game. They've had 5 games this year where they've gone over 200 rushing and passing. They're a good defense. They have the best pass protection in the entire Big 12 too. Oregon, no big names on that D-line. It's going to be tough for them to get pressure in this one. Biggest thing I think for Oregon, they're going to have to move the ball on the run game. Iowa State has a decent run defense, but they can be vulnerable. They have been lit up on the ground at times this season. Oregon has a stable of running backs that are pretty solid. They have to get them going in this game. And Oregon also has to be better against the run defensively. Against UCLA, they got lit up on the ground. Against Oregon State, Jamar Jefferson lit them up on the ground. Iowa State might be able to run the ball in this one against them. Oregon can't let that happen. Our next game, we got the Capital One Orange Bowl. We got number 5 Texas A&M, 9.5 point favorites, going against number 13 UNC, over under 65. This features 2 national championship winning coaches, interesting enough, with Mac Brown and Jimbo Fisher going against it. Good coaching matchup here. A really good matchup of teams too. This would be a lot better game, but unfortunately for UNC, they have had some key players on offense opt out. Running backs Javonte Williams and Michael Carter both opted out for the draft. Those two have combined for almost 2,400 yards and 28 touchdowns this season. It's going to be a big loss for that offense. Also, what's going to be a big loss is Diomi Brown, starting wide receiver, their number 1 wide receiver, also opted out for the draft. QB Sam Howell's really going to have to pick it up here in this game. He's been great all year, but without a lot of weapons in this one, it's going to be tough. He's thrown 3,300 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Only 2 interceptions coming in his last 7. He's a really good quarterback. He's going to be huge for them to stay in this game with Texas A&M. Texas A&M, really good defensive team. The second best run defense in the entire country. Probably the best defense in all the SEC this season too. Their quarterback, Kellen Mond, is a veteran QB. He's thrown over 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns compared to 3 picks. He's been solid this year. Running back Isaiah Spiller, really good running back. He's been good for them. Texas A&M loves to control the tempo of the clock. They control it probably better than almost anyone in the entire country, and they have a very good rush defense. UNC is also good at controlling the tempo normally, but without their best 2 running backs, it's going to be really tough in this game. And I think overall Texas A&M, that run offense and the run defense is going to be the difference here against UNC. Now let's go over to college basketball. Number 10 Iowa going against number 14 Rutgers. This game is definitely going to be going on by the time we get this video out, so won't say much about it. I like the Iowa money line. I'll say it in my locks, but yeah, basically I just think Rutgers is a very good three-point shooting team as well as Iowa. It's going to be a back-and-forth one, but Rutgers has a lot of lulls in games this year. There's going to be a point when Iowa's going to go on a run. That's going to be the difference in this game. Next game, number 9, West Virginia going against Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 1.5 point favorite in this one. West Virginia, 8-2 on the year, number 9 team in the country. They've been solid. Their last game, a loss to Kansas, 79-65. Tough game for them. Oscar Thewsby, it's tough to pronounce. He just opted out for the rest of the year on Wednesday, though. He was averaging 11 points and 9 rebounds a game, so that's a big loss for West Virginia here. Despite that, though, they are a top 20 team in terms of points per possession, both offensively and defensively. Really well-rounded team. They're putting up 74 points per game, giving up 67 against. Oklahoma, on the other end, they're shooting the ball really well. They offensive rebound on 32% of misses, which I should mention for West Virginia. Probably the best part of their team is their offensive rebounding. They're taking away 39% of missed shots and putting that back up for offensive rebounds. Oklahoma's good at that as well, though. They're also really good at not turning the ball over, only turning over on 16% of possessions this season. Defensive end, they're in the top end of the country in points per possession. They're a good team defensively, but they are struggling to defend the three ball. Opponents have been shooting 37% from beyond the arc this season. That needs to change here. Oklahoma, better shooting team. West Virginia, the better defensive team. We'll see how this one plays out. For our next game, we got Oklahoma State going against number 13, Texas Tech. Texas Tech, 8.5 point favorites, over under 134. Oklahoma State has future lottery pick Cade Cunningham. The freshman is a 6'8", 220-pound point guard. Kid is an absolute animal, very athletic. He's averaging 19 per game, 5 boards, shooting 45% and 37% from 3. He is turnover prone, though. He has to work on that early on in his college career. Oklahoma State as a team, shooting the ball pretty well, 45% from the floor. They're averaging 76 points per game. They're an athletic team, too, who can play defense with some athletes, but they're also giving up 70 points per game, so decent team, I'd say, overall. Texas Tech is the better team coming into this one. They're a very defensive-focused team, as always. They're only giving up 53 points against per game compared to 73 points scoring per game. Kevin McCullough played his first game of the year last game and led the team with 11 points in 12 minutes. He's a big addition back to this team. Texas Tech, very good team. Probably the better team here against Oklahoma State, but I think it's going to be a good defensive matchup. A lot of great athletes on both sides. It's going to be head-to-head. I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people think, but Texas Tech probably pulls it off. And we got Purdue going against number 15 Illinois. Illinois comes in 8-point favorites, over under 148. Purdue's defense fell apart for them against Rutgers. They're normally a much better defensive team than we've seen from them this year. They have been good at spots. They're giving up 67 points against. And Iowa, too. I mean, they only let up 70 against Iowa, which is a really good sign. But then again, their offense put up 55 that game, which Iowa has a terrible defense. So definitely some concern here from this Purdue team. They're 7-4 this year. A lot of concern around this entire team. Illinois, much better team, 7-3 this season. Some concern, though, that they have dropped 3 losses. They lost a close one to Rutgers a few games ago. They lost one to Missouri a little earlier in the season, a 3-point one. So, Illinois should have a better record than they currently do. Their guard, Ayu Dosumu, averaging 24 points per game, one of the best players in the country. And their center, Kofi Cockburn, also one of the best players in the country, averaging 17 points, 9.9 rebounds per game. They have a very talented team. They're shooting 53% this season, 42.6% from 3 as a team. Their defense is decent, could improve, but they're one of the best scoring teams in the entire country. Their games are averaging a total of 157 this season. Their previous 7 before their last game to Indiana have all gone over 150. They play high-scoring games. Purdue has shown some inconsistencies on offense. Their defense isn't as good as they normally are. Illinois have scored points this game. Purdue, if they want to be in this one, are going to have to score points up there with them and shoot the ball really well. Our final college basketball game, we got Stanford going against number 21 Oregon, who is a 5.5-point favorite here. Over-under is 141. This is Stanford's first game since December 21st. Had a bit of a break here, so they might be slow to start off. We'll see, but did give them a lot of time to work on some things and improve here, which should help freshman Zaire Williams, averaging 12 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game. He was a big prospect coming into the season, but he struggled shooting so far. Early in his college career, he's only shooting 35.8% from the field and 29.6% from three. Hopefully the time off gave him some time to figure some things out. Stanford also has some very good players in Dejon Davis. He's questionable in this game though, which could be a big loss for them. He's averaging 13.8 points per game. And Oscar De La Sila, just returning, he's averaging 18... Sorry, not returning. I don't know why I said that, but Oscar De La Sila, he's been their best player all season. He's averaging 18.9 points per game, 3.8 assists. Stanford as a team shooting 46%, 32% from three. You'd like to see that three-point shooting improve. Now let's get to Oregon, who's 7-1 on the year, the number 21 team in the country. Oregon has won 27 straight home games. Don't expect much to change in this one. They have Eugene Omoruyi, who's one of the, if I pronounce that wrong, sorry, one of the best college players in the country. He's averaging 19 points per game, shooting 50% and 35% from three. Opponents are shooting under 40% against this Oregon team. They're very good defensively. They're out-rebounding teams, 8.4 rebounds per game as well. They have experienced leaders. They have five players averaging over 8 points per game. They're a really well-rounded team, good defensive team. They don't lose at home. Don't expect them to lose in this one either. Now, a couple NBA games, keeping it light on the NBA slate today. First, we got the Kings against the Rockets. Rockets 4-point favorites, over under 233.5. For the Kings, De'Aaron Fox has been the best player this year, putting up 20.6 points per game, 6.6 assists. He's been really good. For the Rockets, no shocker, James Harden balling out this year, averaging 37 points, 11 assists. Kings are 3-1 on this year. Really hot start. Their only loss of the season coming to the Rockets last game. That was a 3-point loss on New Year's Eve. They've beaten the Nuggets and the Suns also this season. Sorry, Kings have 2 losses this year. They've also dropped one to the Suns. Rockets, on the other hand, 1-2 on the season. Their only win last game against the Kings. They've been off to a slower start than a lot of people would expect. You got a lot of drama with that James Harden situation, so tough to see. I think the Kings have a bounce-back game here. They're going to win this one. Rockets have really struggled defensively this season. The Kings have put up 114.8 points per game. They've been able to score the rock. Rockets struggling defense, even though they are getting better. It seems like you never know with this team. Very hit and miss, especially with Harden. He's going to ball out, but the chemistry ain't there. I expect the Kings to win. Definitely like their spread. And for the final game of the day, we got the Raptors, 1-point favorites going against the Pelicans, over under 215.5. It's been a struggling Raptors team to start this season. They just caught their first win on New Year's Eve against the Knicks, 100-83. They're 1-3 on the year. Dropped their first 3 of the season. The first game they dropped to New Orleans, actually, in a 113-99 game there. Kyle Lowry still having a good season for the Raptors to open up, starting with 19.5 points per game, 8.3 assists. Raptors have been making some changes to the rotation. We saw that a little bit with the Knicks game, which seemed to help. This team needs to get better defensively. We saw it against the Knicks. They did pretty well against the Sixers defensively too, but that's where this team thrives. That's where they're always good at. They're going to improve on that defense, I think. The first 3 games, just a little sluggish to start off. I expect them improving here. Pelicans, also pretty solid defensive team to start off. Been surprising. Brandon Ingram's been really good for this team, averaging over 22 points per game, 5.6 assists. He's been a solid player here. I think the Raptors take this one. The Pelicans got in the first game of the season, but the Raptors are going to be improving game over game. They're going to figure this out. They're a better team than they've shown on the floor, and I think this last game against the Knicks showed that. I expect the same to go on here. I expect them carrying momentum against this Pelicans team, taking out the dub tonight. Which then brings me to my locks for the day. Starting off, college football. I'm taking Iowa State minus 5.5 against Oregon. That's a minus 115. Iowa State, I think just the better team, better defensive team. Everything I mentioned before. And then I'm also going to take Texas A&M and UNC under 65. I think Texas A&M wins this game pretty handily. Don't love the 10-point spread here because they are sort of a conservative offensive team, but I expect them to completely be able to control the tempo, get quick turnovers against UNC because they're missing those two running backs. Then they're just going to control the tempo of the clock. UNC is going to struggle to score against them. This game is going low. In basketball, I'm taking Iowa money line against Rutgers. I'm taking the West Virginia money line against Oklahoma. And I'm taking Oklahoma State plus 8.5 against Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech wins this game, but it's going to be defensive matchup and it's going to be close enough. 8.5, way too many points against this Oklahoma State team. And for the NBA, Kings plus 4 against the Rockets. I think Kings have a good chance to win it straight up, but if anything, it's going to be a close game like the last one was, coming down to at least a one-possession game. And Raptors money line against the Pelicans. Raptors seem to be turning around this early season. Only lost 3 games, not a big deal, but they're a better team than this Pelicans team. I think they show it tonight. That's it for the picks, boys. Thanks for watching. Let's hit some fucking winners. Go into NFL Sunday strong. I will have the Aota Picks podcast up this afternoon for our NFL locks and breaking down every game this Sunday. Thanks for watching.